I'm here backstage with Bastian Lehmann from Postmates, and Bastian, you did a great job on stage.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, and I also noticed something very interesting. Usually when I've seen you, you have shaved your head.
Yes.
And you're usually wearing a completely different hat, like a Postmates hat or some kind of Postmates. But right now you're wearing a New Yorker hat. Why is that?
I think there's no deeper reason other than it's the hat that I brought to London, and I'm letting my hair grow. So that's the other reason.
That's the other reason. Kind of hide it while it's in that phase.
Yeah.
You said something really interesting on stage about expanding to London. This is where you originally tried to do a startup, then you went to San Francisco, blew up there, and now...
It's coming home for me. It's coming home.
Yeah. And you said next year you're going to do that?
I think Q2 next year could be. That's what we're targeting internally to launch in London.
Mm-hmm. There's already a couple of different delivery startups here. How do you plan to take them on?
So I can't reveal the entire plan, but
But to me, you could, right?
Yeah. So if you think about how we grew Postmates so far, it has been by paying very, very close attention to the supply side, and I think in understanding the supply side, in understanding your fleet, the couriers, people that want to work in that space, that gives you a good game plan on how to attack competitors.
There's a lot of competitors in this space, even in London, in San Francisco, and from what I understand, the margins are pretty slim as well in the food space. What are you seeing in the other product delivery space that you've started opening up to?
Yeah, I think our margins are actually quite great. If we're closing the year according to plan, we will have gross profit margins of just over 20%. So from the start, Postmates has made money with almost every delivery. And that's actually something that we're very proud of. I'm not sure it is because I'm German, but figuring out if you have a viable business was always the most important thing to me. In prepared food, you actually have great margins, and that is because a restaurant has relatively strong margins. Not so much for the food inside a restaurant,
but
I've
heard the opposite. I've heard it's really small margins.
For takeout food, it's actually a lot bigger because most of the costs in a restaurant are actually for the space where you're serving the people. So the seats, all of that is calculated very tightly. But in the takeout, there is a lot more leeway for sharing and for margin.
And you did mention Uber and the trenches, which was kind of a weird comment. But how do you plan on taking on Uber Rush, Uber Eats, which is sort of, it's kind of if you combine what Postmates is doing, how do you plan on working with that?
Yeah, so we don't see any impact from Uber Rush or for Uber Eats. So I think the question probably is how Uber wants to own that space, if they want to do that. But I don't know if they want to. I think Uber Eats is a complementary product for them. It allows them to have less downtime for their drivers, and that they care a lot about the driver side as well. And I think that's one way to look at it. I think for us, the scale that we're at and the way that we're growing, despite competitions, despite people like Amazon, everybody else in that space, gives us the confidence to just continue to execute.
Will you continue to deliver using bicycles, or will it depend on the city?
Oh, it has always depended on the city. New York, 75-80% bikes. Chicago, 0 bikes. Boston, no bikes versus San Francisco, where you have a healthy mix. So topography of the city was always important.
Mm-hmm. And then also, beyond London, Uber Eats is already in Paris, a couple other places. Are there any other cities that you want to target in Europe?
So London for sure, and then I would love to be in Berlin and Paris as well. Berlin because I'm German, Paris because it's a great city, and there may be a few other ones, maybe in Spain, maybe in Ireland, but I think London is the bigger prize for now.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks a bunch.